Welcome to MGMT 316 course capsules. Those capsules are short videos that will present you with the key concepts seen in class, and we will present you with the concepts that are covered for each chapter, and that should help you actually prepare for the material and grasp the key concepts in class. The first chapter that we are covering in this course is operations and productivity. And this is supposed to be the chapter where we introduce the key concepts about productivity and operations, and what makes operations management, what's the definition, what are the key components, what's the difference between goods and services, and then what's the productivity challenge. Now, if we take the definition, operations management is the set of activities that create value in the form of goods and services by transforming inputs into outputs. This is a little bit different from production, which is the creation of goods and services in general. Where does the operations management fit? It fits as one of the three key functions of the organization in addition to marketing and finance. Marketing is expected to generate demand. Production and operation is expected to create the products basically that would meet that demand, and finally finance is supposed to be handling the flow of material, the flow of money, tracks how well the organization is doing, paying bills, collecting the money, etc., and managing the flow of finance. Now, why study operations management? As we said, because first, it's one of the key functions of an organization, one of the key three functions of the organization. And second, because actually we want to know and need to know how goods and products are produced. And third, because we want to understand what operations managers do, and finally because it's actually it's a costly part of an organization. It accounts sometimes for 60% to 80% of the cost of an organization, and it's important to know actually what happens there. What do operations managers do? Well, basic management functions: planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, leading, etc. Those are the functions that an operations manager would do. There are 10 strategic decisions that operations management is involved with: designing goods and services, managing quality, process and capacity design and strategy, location strategy, layout strategy, which is actually how do we set up the location or organize ourselves into a location, human resources and job design, supply chain management, inventory management, scheduling, and maintenance. Now, the key question in general that we ask ourselves: is there a difference between goods and services? Traditionally, there have been very clear difference between goods and services, but this difference is actually blurring a little bit. It's reducing as products and services, or goods and services, are merging. But traditionally, we used to consider that services tend to be intangible as opposed to goods that are tangible. Traditionally as well, services are produced and consumed simultaneously, while products can usually be kept in inventory. Traditionally, services are unique, while goods tend to be similar in general and can be produced in a more standard way. Services are expected to have high customer interactions, while for goods actually limited interaction or limited customer involvement in production. Other differences: inconsistent product definition for services and standardized for goods in general. Often services are knowledge based, while standard tangible products tends to make automation feasible. Dispersed versus products typically produced at a fixed facility in general. And quality might be hard to evaluate when it comes to services, while actually for products, most of those quality characteristics are tangible and therefore easier to evaluate. Finally, products we would expect actually reselling is unusual. Basically, once you consume a service, it's consumed, while products has always a dollar value, and the goods actually might be resold after for another value. Now, when we are on operation management, we are actually always faced with a challenge, the key challenge, which is productivity challenge. And to take it simply, productivity is the ratio of outputs, goods and services, divided by all the inputs that we're putting in, resources like labor, like capital, like material, like electricity, etc., etc., etc. Production is the making of goods and services using the best way the inputs that we're having, and the objective is always in operations management to improve productivity. Now, productivity in simple words is units produced, output, divided by input, no matter what the input, no matter what's the output. Now, in general, if all the other factors are fixed, we could be interested in looking at a single factor of productivity. Basically, for example, labor. Labor productivity is the units produced by labor hours used in the same time unit. So we produce, for example, 1,000 in a period of time. We spend 250 labor hours, and the productivity is 4 units per labor hour produced. Now, this is single factor, but it's never the case where we spend actually one single factor. We typically will have multi-factor, many factors that are coming into as an input for an output, and productivity will be the output divided by all those inputs: labor, material, energy, capital, miscellaneous, and other things that could enter as an input into productivity. Now, when do we use single factor productivity? Typically, if you are not able to express the inputs in the same units, we might be interested in looking actually how that single factor will work, or how is it evaluating, or when we are able actually to isolate one single factor that is changing as opposed to the others not changing. So we want to see what's the impact of that particular single factor. In the next chapter, we'll try actually to have the see where it all starts. It typically all starts at the strategy of an organization. The strategy sets the objectives for the organization, and those objectives are translated into operational strategies, and it's the operation strategies that start as a plan for our operation. Thank you, and